Okay, you guys, next we have speaking Erin Harrigan. She's known as the Hustle with Heart and Health Coach. Her mission is helping people bridge faith, health, and business for lasting results. Erin is the author of Pursuing Success God's Way, a practical hustle with heart, published in March of 2020, and a sought after keynote and workshop speaker for groups of 3 to thousands. Her Hustle with Heart and Health coaching equips God-centered entrepreneurs to leverage faith, health, and daily discipline to produce lasting results. Erin hosts the Hustle with Heart podcast, a weekly podcast connecting scripture and business to equip entrepreneurs to build businesses that honor God and serve his people. Erin is the founder of the Elaine's Gift Foundation, which honors the memory of her mom, Elaine, by awarding scholarships to the children of single mothers to bring higher education within their reach. It's all you, Erin.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I'm so excited. I love this group. Love it, love it. I have been absent from the group for a little while as I was working through with my coach, Don Schuler, whom I think most of you know. And I love today's topic is really about rest. And you might be kind of rolling your eyes at that thinking, well, haven't we had enough rest? Like, seriously? We've all been off, right? And I so appreciate, Jill, you know, your transparency and vulnerability to say, I really
Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
I was trying to cut down on the background noise of somebody joining in. So sorry.
No worries.
Off you go.
So I appreciate Jill sharing, you know, with vulnerability, and probably all of us on some level have felt a little bit of this, that maybe we haven't done as much as we should have done, although I want to encourage you not to should all over yourself. But I also want to say this is a vital piece of what we do. You know, Maria talked about in her work, what kept coming to me, Maria, which I know is such a chiropractic term as well, which is alignment, right? And that when you are aligned, your body can function, things can flow the way they should. And foundationally, that is what Hustle with Heart is all about. From a Christian perspective, I know and believe that we are the branch and Jesus is the vine. And when we are connected, there is a flow. And you may have seen me talk about this before, that I feel like it's sort of, we unlock this flow by being more present, by taking the time that we need to take. And from that alignment, a number of things happen. We can be, I'm reading the 4 agreements right now. So we can be impeccable with our word. We can take a moment to breathe and think before we speak, which is also, I think, part of what Maria was saying. Like, couldn't we have a world where we could be more in touch with each other and more respectful of each other? So this idea of rest and its value in our Hustle with Heart journey came to me out of, I was doing a Priscilla Schreier Bible study called Breathe. And it's all about allowing margin. It's all about how, whether it's work or our shoe collection or time with our kids or whatever, that we allow to take over our life, that we begin to, in some ways, idolize. And therefore, we don't take the time to rest, which is what rejuvenates us and renews us and refreshes us to do the work we are called to do. The challenge with where we are right now in this pandemic is, I believe, we sort of take one of 2 roads. We either keep working, and I think from that keep working, there are 2 views of that. You know, Marcy's view of that, I think it's Marcy who's in real estate. You know, she had, like, the real estate market's exploding. So it makes sense that she's, you know, working. I think in other cases, and I've been guilty of this in part of the pandemic, it's working because we're so desperate to make the ends meet. We're so desperate to keep things going, and we'll say, what if things fall apart, or I don't that I need to make, right? We're sort of coming at it from this frantic energy that we all know everybody can feel, right, when we're coming from that. So we've either continued to work on some level, or maybe we've stepped back. and we've allowed this time to refresh and renew us. Here's the bottom line of why rest is so important in our journey. This margin of rest, first of all, is a commandment. It's one of the 10 commandments. Whatever your spiritual belief is, we were all made by God, and his commandment was rest. He built in that commandment because after creating for 6 days, the thing that was missing was rest. So he created it and he commanded it, and it is his gift to us. I want to read to you an excerpt from Abraham Joshua Heschel's book, The Sabbath, Its Meaning for Modern Man. He's a 20th century Jewish rabbi and author, and this is what he writes about the Sabbath. The words, "on the seventh day God finished his work," in Genesis 2:2 seem to be a puzzle. We would surely expect the Bible to tell us that on the sixth day God finished his work, and obviously the ancient rabbis concluded that there was an act of creation on the seventh day. And just as the heavens and earth were created in 6 days, the Sabbath was created on the seventh day, and his work was complete. Why is it important for us to know that? Because I think very often as women in business, we tend to keep going and going and going like an Energizer bunny. And even when it's work we love it so much that we don't often allow ourselves margin. And the reason that that margin is so important, besides the fact that it was a command, and besides the fact that it is truly a gift to us, is because in this margin is where we are creative. It's where we think. You see me looking at my notes. It's where we gain fresh perspective. It's where we can be visionary. It's where we can take time for gratitude. It's where we can combat idolatry and coveting other people's results. It's where we can learn to trust and where we can learn to lean in. And I think that sometimes we're afraid to take that margin because as entrepreneurs, we work hard. We have a sick work ethic and we just keep going, as I mentioned. But what happens is that we don't often take time to sharpen that saw. And I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Abraham Lincoln, who said something to the effect, which I'm totally going to take out of context, that if I had, 3 days to chop down a tree, I would use like the greater part of that time to sharpen the axe. Stephen Covey talks about sharpening the saw. That is the importance of rest in what we do. So what if, I love what Laura said at the beginning, that through this incredible gift of OPW that Jenny has provided us for so many years, that connections are made and collaborations happen. And there are things that perhaps would not have happened otherwise, except that we allowed ourselves the time to do what we're doing right now. This is sort of a mode of rest, if you will. We come to this group from very different backgrounds and very different beliefs at times, but we come to gather. We come to be refreshed. We come to be filled. And what if in that rest, what if allowing that rest on our business journey, things supernaturally happened? Things supernaturally began to connect and collaborate, right? Because in that rest, and I'm going to relate this back to what we talked about in alignment, in that alignment, when we are not blocking that flow of energy, for those of us who are Christians, we are not blocking the flow from Jesus as the vine, where all of the nourishment comes from. We're not blocking the flow of the Holy Spirit, who equips and empowers us. When we're not blocking that, we allow the power and the glory within us to open up more than we can do on our own. It is a simple fact, and I'm positive that many of you have experienced it. Anybody? You've probably experienced these moments, right? You're shaking your heads, yes. So let me encourage you. Whether you've taken all of COVID off, which let's face it, you haven't really taken it off because you've been doing life, right? Whether you've continued to work, whether you're looking at, this mantra of the world saying, finish the year strong, which in my hustle with heart journey, I've learned to not listen to the world, although it's very, very loud. What if we took a moment daily, weekly, to rest? And I don't mean lay out and take a nap, although, hey, that's a great thing. I mean, what if we took that time and maybe we opened our Bible and we read and we prayed and we journaled, or maybe we did the meditation, that Lily is talking about. Maybe we just took the time to meditate and say, allowing the ideas to come in. Because here's what I know. I know that in the book I wrote, Pursuing Success God's Way, A Practical Guide to Hustle with Heart, one of those principles is faith and trust. One of those principles is yielding my own fruit. One of those principles is focus and not FOMO. And none of that can happen unless we're allowing margin. In the margin is where the supernatural happens. In the margin is where we see things with new eyes. In the margin is where we take the time, as Dr. Wayne Dyer says, to know that when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. I think we do ourselves a great disservice, even when we love what we're doing so much that we could do it 24/7, to not stop and rest and take advantage of that margin. So here's my call to action for you. Today, at some point, stop, breathe, look around, take in the glory of creation. Maybe take a few minutes to meditate or pray, whatever that looks like for you, and just allow the flow, allow the margin for rest and renewal. I love what Laura said earlier. And I think this has happened to many people. And in fact, it's something that I'm kind of working through myself, which is, she didn't reopen her physical therapy practice, but she took that as the opportunity to build and shift. And my gosh, look at what she's experiencing, right? I mean, Laura, I know you can feel how different it is. And you can probably think back and go, man, if I had reopened my practice, like, what would that even look like now, right? And knowing, like you know in your knower, that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, that the world gave us a pause, but that we can take that margin anytime, and that margin is critically important. So I want you to stop and breathe and look around and pray or meditate, but I want you to take a hard look at your schedule also and see where you can make time to give yourself rest, give yourself that margin. If you're waking up in the morning and the first thing you're doing is grabbing this and you're just going about your day, you're not taking margin. One of the first things I work with my coaching clients on in their daily discipline is, number one is to start your day in the Word, start your day in prayer, start your day in journaling, because that's where your direction comes from. That's where the answers come from. That's where your wisdom for the day comes from. But where can you put that time in your calendar to physically allow yourself rest and margin? I want to finish up by just sharing two things. The journey, my journey, many of you knew me before. I like to say early on in my hustle with heart journey, when I was very focused on my health and wellness business with Arbonne. And over the last 3 years, God has really been pulling me in this other direction to coach and to speak and to write on this idea of hustle with heart, because I think a lot of women in business who are of faith, they feel incongruent. They feel like, I want to put my faith first, but the world says I have to drive and strive, and that I need to go make it happen, and I need to be a boss babe, and I need to do all these things, but I don't see where my faith fits in that. And that's what he's been doing. So a couple of things for you. Right now, my book is free plus $7.95 shipping. And I'm going to put that, that link is in the chat earlier on, but I'm going to repost it. The second thing that I'm doing, I have a live course going on right now, which is full, but I do a 21-day mind, body, business boot camp. And so that combines the Arbonne gut health, mind health, and nutrition that we call the Breakfast Club, along with some group and some individual coaching. And that next 21-day group is going to kick off November 1st. So I'll be putting that in here. I want to then leave you with, who do you know, like who would this really apply to? So if you know anybody that sort of sounds like this, they love the feeling of being successful and knowing they make an impact and getting paid for it, but they're tired of driving and striving. They're tired of chasing the numbers and the dollars. They're tired of feeling like their work and their faith are out of sync. It's draining them, and it's wreaking havoc on their health as well. And maybe they're saying, is there a better way, or am I crazy to think that there's got to be a better way to do business? I'm here to tell you that that's what I'm here to do, because there is a better way, and it's called Hustle with Heart. And that's what I'm able to help people do. So thank you all so much. I hope that this was helpful. I hope it brought you value. I'm certainly open to take questions or any of that. But Laura, thank you for hosting another great meeting.
Thank you, Erin. I'm going to stop the recording.